Hey guys, we're going to go into juicing. We're going to talk everything about it and where it falls in the realm of fasting. And it really sucks that we can't do this live, but we want to get this information to you, so we're doing it via magic.
Via the internet. One of the big reasons that we decided to not host the workshop in person is the public health guidelines right now are trying to minimize large group settings, and we had such a huge interest for this workshop.
Yeah.
We normally will host our bigger events at Journey Church, and we didn't realize how much interest we would have on this workshop, so we had over 80 people registered for it, and so that was going to be a tight group put together in the office. So we decided to be able to get this out to everybody, and we actually are going to do an encore of the juicing workshop. We'll set a date later this year that we can do it in person as well. But I want to let you guys know we wanted to do a demo with this juicing workshop. So because we're doing this online kind of last minute here, we're going to be doing the juicing demo. Zach and I are going to record it later this week, and we'll also send that link out to you so you can see how we prep all the vegetables, the best way to actually get them juiced, as far as like which way you're going to be doing it, so we can help you with that.
We'll get our Bobby Flay on, kitchen style. So as we get into it, the most important thing that I feel like Dr. Aaron and I can share with everybody because of the interest is connecting this into the idea of intermittent fasting. Juicing is something that became very popular over the last few years, became much more mainstream with documentaries like Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And Joe Cross shared amazing benefits when it came to juicing, and everybody wanted to jump on board. And now you see things like ketogenic and intermittent fasting and all of these other different approaches and ways that you can kind of biohack your way into better health. It's become more popular, and it's something that we both, and as a family, implement personally. So we want to share how you do it correctly, because when you juice, when you do things like intermittent fasting, there's a right way and there's absolutely a wrong way. So we felt like it was absolutely important that we share how to do it the most effectively and in the safest way possible.
And understanding the why behind it, you guys know that we're always going through the why behind it, how something is effective. Juicing is not this magic cure. I've had actually people say that, I had a friend who juiced and it cured their cancer. Nothing from the outside ever heals us. The only way that we heal is from within. So this is a tool to correct a deficiency, and there's ways that we can support the body, and we want you to understand why juicing is so effective. And when we look at pertinent to what's going on right now, I know that everyone's lives are being affected by the virus that is going around right now. We're going to talk through how we actually support the immune system and where fasting and juicing has a huge effect on supporting the overall immune function. So with what we teach all the time is we don't have to be afraid of sickness and disease, because the normal state of how God designed us is to heal and function at 100%. Mm-hmm. So if you fall and have a cut, it heals. We have 100% certainty that is what our body is created to do. If a child falls and has a cut, we kiss their boo-boo and say it'll heal. We totally give them assurance with that, and we have to remember that. It doesn't matter what part of the body, if something is broken down, if something isn't functioning correctly, our job is to figure out what is interfering with healing, because the body is created to heal. So when we teach the 5 essentials, we're looking at how do we support the body and make sure that there's no interference to normal function. You guys know that we are open for adjustments. We are not closing the office, because the most important thing that we can do to support your health is make sure that you're neurologically functioning at your best, because the immune system is activated by the nervous system. So if we have a 100% functioning nervous system, our immune system is going to be able to respond appropriately and take care of, it doesn't matter what we're exposed to. So the complications with a virus or any pathogen that we're exposed to is if our immune system is compromised, if our body is not functioning at its best, there's a lot of things that we need to be afraid of. If our immune system is not functioning well, any pathogen, any bacteria or virus can take us down. So our job is to make sure that we're taking care of our immune system. So when you get adjusted, it's a 200 to 400% boost in immune function. They've actually found that white blood cells actually become more activated following an adjustment. So we're happy to see we had gosh, the office was, we had a lot of people coming in this morning. We had people, scheduling extra adjustments to make sure that their immune systems are strong, are firing, so we don't have to have fear associated with it. Really cool thing we sent out to everybody is during the 1918 Spanish flu, when that hit, there was a huge amount of deaths associated with that. So they correlate any of the big pandemics, usually go back to that Spanish flu that happened. What actually put chiropractic big on the map within healthcare was during that time frame. So they found there was a significant reduction in the death rate of people who were getting adjusted during that pandemic that happened. So I think it's so exciting, with the knowledge that you guys have and the tools that we have to take care of our body the way that God created. So we're going to support you with the adjustments neurologically. We're going to make sure that we're getting the right nutrients in, and that's what we're going to hit on with juicing to remove any interference. And then we make sure that we're not putting toxins in our body. That's what we're going to talk to you about, organic and looking at the toxicity side. And also exercise. So I know that everybody is off of school, the kids are.
I feel like everybody just broke eye contact with the screen when you said exercise, because that happens in workshops. We've talked about it. We need to exercise too.
So their kids are home from school. A lot of people are having, situations that they're working from home. So where's the opportunity in this? Right. Our opportunity is let's reset and control what we can control. So we may not be able to control everything that's happening. We have to trust God for some things, but we do have a lot of control over how we're taking care of our bodies. And God gave us a strong, amazing body. So let's take care of it and work with it. And it is incredible what our body is resilient being able to overcome. So they actually did studies that with exercising, your white blood cells become more active. So your immune system is actually stronger following exercise. So I know you guys are going to be having more time with the kids. Do some workouts as a family. We're going to be posting some of our family workouts on the Bold City 2020 group. So if you guys have Facebook, make sure that you request access to that group. It's Bold City 2020. We're going to post some of our favorite family workouts to do with the kids, and it gets their energy out. So then they chill a little bit afterwards. So make it fun with exercising, but we need to be supporting the body in all of these areas, not just picking and choosing which one we like to do. Because I know exercise is not my thing that I get super excited about, but I know it's important for my health.
So when we talk about juicing, to just switch gears back to why we're doing this workshop online, when we look at the benefits of juicing, really juicing in general is merely just a fast, whether it's a juice for a meal where we're skipping something, more of like an intermittent fasting approach, or if it's a longer 3, 5, or 10-day fast. So when you look at juicing, there was a study done and they found that the length of time needed to actually reboot the immune system is about 3 days. And this was done maybe 2014. I think the study was done by USC, and they found that if a person fasted, they stopped eating for a period of time, the length of time needed to essentially reboot the immune system was a 3-day period. So this became our go-to standard when it came to juicing. We got people introduced to juicing and fasting by doing a 3-day juice fast. And really the reason that it works is because you deplete your glycogen, you deplete the sugar that your body has stored up for energy, and you force it to go into this adaptive, almost ketogenic state. And when you are fasting, you're flooding when you're juicing rather, you're flooding the body with nutrients. So you're removing a potential cause of inflammation and an energy disruptor, and you're taking your body's ability to focus on other things when it's constantly worrying about digesting food. And then you're flooding the system with nutrients. You're flooding your body with a ton of nutrients and correcting deficiencies.
So it's really cool from a detox standpoint. When you're supporting and correcting any nutrient deficiencies, your body actually can function at a higher level because it has all the fuel that it needs to work appropriately. So like Zach was saying, when you are not eating and you're making it really easy for your body to get a ton of nutrients in, it allows your body to use energy in other areas. So what it's going to do is be able to pick up immune function because it's not diverting so much energy into breaking down and digesting food. Even healthy foods, it takes work for your digestive system to go through it. So this allows rest of the digestive system, and it allows energy to go towards other areas of healing that the body needs to. So you heal at a higher level.
A really great example is if somebody consistently ate processed foods for a majority of their life, and then they automatically are just randomly switched to a raw food, plant-based diet, it can cause a lot of digestive distress when you increase the amount of fiber. It adds a lot more work to the digestive system and to the body overall. So when you look at juicing, what you're doing essentially is digesting everything for your body already by breaking down and removing the fiber, and then you're just giving the body the nutrients. Same thing when it comes to smoothies. It's an incredibly effective way to get a ton of nutrients, but really all you're doing is speeding up the digestion process by removing and breaking down the fiber so that the body can take the nutrients more rapidly. So when you have things like juicing, juice fast in general, it's a great way to kickstart things because you're taking the stressor of digestion out of the equation and you're letting your body focus on what it needs to do.
And there are some really big things that happen when you are allowing your energy reserves to go towards other reparative processes. So people that have major metabolic deficiencies, that have had weight loss resistance, this actually will help to reset your body into becoming a fat burner instead of a sugar burner. So people that have blood sugar imbalances, it's a great way to start to shift that. People with hormone imbalances, this again, it's a reboot. Same thing with autoimmune issues or compromised immune function. If you're somebody who, which I used to be growing up, I had autoimmune issues and my immune system was just, if I joke that if somebody coughed across the room, I would end up having whatever it was for like weeks, and it would take me forever to overcome it because my immune system was compromised. So think about this reset that's happening. It's like when your phone starts getting glitchy and you do the hard reset and hold the button to restart the phone. That's what's really cool. Your body, we're resetting some of the dysfunctional metabolic or immune processes, and these overall big picture things that are happening in the body get to work at a higher level the way that they're supposed to.
And really any major nutrition change, whether it's going plant-based or juicing or fasting in general, bone broth fast, which we'll get into a little bit as well, it just hits that reset button because generally people eat what they want to eat. They avoid the things that they don't like merely because they don't like them, and we create these patterns that create deficiencies and toxicity. So when we look at the stats of where we're at right now, processed foods, most people, about 51% of our diet is made up of processed foods in standard American diet. Animal products make up another huge majority of that, and then fruits and vegetables are a very, very small percentage. They break down to the average standard American diet, or the average American is only getting about 7 to 10% of their nutrients from fruits and vegetables. So when Dr. Aaron's talking about hitting the reset button and having your body decrease inflammation or kickstarting weight loss, even though we may be changing the pattern by adding a bunch of things in, still a lot of times people are going to go back to juicing the things that they want to juice and avoiding some of the things that they don't want to juice. So we're going to get into the key ingredients, the things that you should juice more of, the things that you should eliminate, because if you do it wrong, it will absolutely wreck blood sugar. It can absolutely have a negative impact on overall weight. So we have to do it appropriately, and there's some key things that we need to make sure that we're getting with every single juice, and then also some key things that we're eliminating.
And the other component is we're doing so much sugar. When we look at our culture right now, sugar is a hidden source it's not just the sweets. So we have that all the time. People say, oh, well, we know sugar is in like cakes and donuts and things like that, but we have people who say, oh, I don't like sweets, but they don't realize all the hidden sources of sugar.
Yeah, it's a very common thing. It's gotten us to the point where we consume more sugar than we ever have as a country. The average American is consuming 65 pounds of high fructose corn syrup and about 170 pounds of sugar. That's combined. So it's not just adults, it's kids also. When we look at something that absolutely has a negative or it's detrimental to our immune system and immune function, it's the things that we're consuming that kind of fly under the radar. Breads, pastas, rice, very processed foods. White bread in particular is a very, very high source of sugar that kind of flies under the radar. Same thing with pasta and rice. It's something that is consistently overlooked as a source of sugar. And when we look at it, we talk about this in our Essentials Foundation class. We need to start categorizing sugar in this category of carbohydrates. And carbs are absolutely necessary. To say you should avoid all carbs would be irresponsible for us to say, because one, it's impossible. We need to be eating fruits and vegetables. And two, our bodies need them. So we need to make sure that we're getting them from the right sources and getting things that has fiber. But when we talk about juicing, we're going to be picking low sugar or low glycemic vegetables and fruits that are going to be very, very nutrient dense, but not have a ton of sugar associated with them.
So the carbs that we should be consuming are from fruits and vegetables. There is no need for our body to have breads, rice, and pasta. We don't need those to survive. And we definitely want to, not that you never have those, but there's better ways to do it. And that's what Zach covers at the Essential Foundations class, is how to do those appropriately and in moderation. But just to key this into what we have going on right now, when you consume sugar, your immune system is suppressed for about 4 hours afterwards. So think about the choices that are being made.
How many grams? It's like 5 grams or
Yeah.
less. It's some minuscule amount, like a teaspoon of sugar.
Up to 4 hours, your immune system is weakened. So think about your white blood cells are constantly on guard to find any pathogens that come in. Your immune system responds and gets rid of them. But think about if for 4 hours, your white blood cells are suppressed. That means that your guards are not, they're sleeping. So you have these pathogens that are coming in to invade the body, and they get in. And that's where it takes longer. So I go back to, I'm going to do this, the weird analogy of the Viking times is when, if there was the border, the wall never got infiltrated, it was much easier to keep them out. But if an invading army actually broke down the walls, once they got in, it was a mess, and it was a lot more difficult battle. So think about that. If your immune system is up, you can be exposed to bacteria or virus, and your body takes care of it sometimes before there's any even symptoms. Your body reacted to it. So they're actually testing a lot of people who are positive for the coronavirus right now that don't have any symptoms. So there was actually one that had a really high viral load, and they said that they had no symptoms. So if the immune system is responding correctly, it can take care of it. But if the guards are down for 4 hours, you've got these invaders taking over, and it takes a long time for the body to be able to get through.
She just called the coronavirus a Viking. Just acknowledge that. So when we talk about bringing down inflammation, we hit on the reason that it's so important to minimize sugars. It's the primary source of inflammation for most people. So nutritionally, it's the thing that we put in our bodies most. Most people are consuming way too much sugar, so we're consuming something that is the number one source of inflammation, the number one dietary source, certainly, of inflammation. So we're going to do our best in this workshop to give you guys the tools and resources you need to make sure that we're not adding inflammation, that we're actually bringing it down. Mm-hmm. So the reason juicing is important, and we need to specify here a little bit, the reason green juice is so important is because it absolutely addresses specific nutrient deficiencies. You look at the vitamins and mineral content of dark leafy greens, it's one of the number one things that's recommended for most people to eat because it's so nutrient dense. So when we take a giant package of spinach, baby spinach or baby kale or celery or whatever, if you were to put that in a bowl and try to eat it, it would take you forever. But when you juice it, you're getting all of that condensed into a nice
high concentration
8 to 10 ounce glass. So you're able to get a ton more food, the nutrients from it, in a really condensed package, and we're removing the fiber. So all of those nutrients go right into your system.
And what's really cool about green leafy vegetables, they're really high in a lot of important nutrients. So it's high in vitamin C. So people think I have to eat oranges to get vitamin C. Green leafy vegetables have a lot of vitamin C in it. B vitamins are going to be found in green leafy vegetables. Calcium. So I had a patient whose primary care doctor told her that if she's not drinking cow's milk, there's no way that she's going to be getting vitamin D and calcium. And she eats a ton of green leafy vegetables, and so I'm like, you're getting a ton of calcium with that. So there's a lot of nutritional misconceptions that green leafy vegetables have this wide variety of amazing nutrients that we're getting. And the goal is, honestly, we should be getting most of our nutrition from our food. Now there is a certain time when we need to supplement to correct a deficiency, but we shouldn't be relying on supplements from the outside if we understand that the majority of stuff we should be getting from our food. We should only have to supplement very specific things.
Yep. So some of the other benefits then with green juice specifically, we talked about the kickstarting weight loss, and the way that it does that is by addressing deficiencies, by supporting your body's metabolism, not adding inflammation. We're not adding sugar into the equation because dark leafy greens and greens in general are very low glycemic, so it's not going to have the blood sugar, the insulin response. That means the metabolism is going to recognize fats as a viable form of energy. So if you've had metabolic issues breaking down and using fat for energy, if you're a sugar burner, when you go on a specific green juice fast for 3, 5, 10 days, however long, your body has to reboot the metabolism so that it can use fat for energy again. So that's one of the biggest benefits, and the reason that they say juicing kickstarts weight loss is because it resets the metabolism. Well, it's not going to reset any metabolism if you're juicing a bunch of vegetables or carrots or beets, things that are very, very, very high in sugar. You're not going to get that metabolic reset. So green juice is specifically one of the things that you need to be drinking more of if you want to see that metabolic effect.
Yeah, so the specific, and we're going to share some recipes with you guys of the green juices that we do, but it's all things that do not trigger a big insulin response. That's what we mean by the glycemic index. We don't want to put in something that's going to put a bunch of broke down as a lot of sugar into the bloodstream, and then your insulin has to get released to take it out. So people that with the metabolic issues that Zach was talking about, if people have prediabetes or they're diabetic, if they have weight loss resistance, if you get that midday crash, like 2 o'clock where your energy is gone, those are signs of metabolic issues. And so you're going to be able to get even a ton of small micronutrients, trace minerals, that's going to help your thyroid function. It's going to help your body to be able to correct these mineral deficiencies so everything functions at a higher level.
Yep. So we're going to be decreasing inflammation because we're not juicing a lot of high glycemic fruits and vegetables. It's going to support gut health by removing the fiber and allowing the body to heal and repair tissue. And then lastly, it's going to help to support energy because you're flooding your body with a ton of nutrients, specifically B vitamins. It's not like green juice has a little shot of caffeine poured in there. The reason that it gives you energy, or gives most people energy, is because most people are nutrient deficient. So when you get a ton of B vitamins, you get a ton of energy. Now, if you've ever done green juice and you haven't felt a pickup in energy, there's a good chance that you weren't deficient in those B vitamins or some of those key nutrients that are going to help to increase energy. And there may be some other things going on that we would need to get a little bit more specific with in the office. But for the most part, most people are very deficient in nutrients, specifically B vitamins. So when we're adding green juice, you're getting a ton of those, and it's going to help to pick energy up naturally.
Yeah, so this is something that we're excited to help you guys get started with, because yes, there is the healing component overall, and again, applying to what everyone is talking about right now, your immune system is going to get rebooted in the process.
Yep.
So you're allowing so much of your energy to do what it needs to do, and our body is in favor of survival, so it's going to prioritize what it needs to do. And if there's a pathogen that's attacking the body, it's going to want to divert all of its energy into healing. So fasting and resting the digestive system is so important. We have parents who, when their kids are fighting something off, they'll say, oh, they haven't wanted to eat at all. And I let them know that that's a good thing. They're listening to their innate intelligence. Their body, when they're fighting something off, doesn't want to eat food because they're trying to conserve all their energy towards healing. And I think the educated mind is, I have a lot of times parents are like trying to force them to eat something because they feel like they should eat. But their body resting is actually more beneficial and powerful for them healing more rapidly. So that's why the fasting and going through this juicing, it's going to rest the digestive system and then boost up any of the nutrient deficiencies, so your body has all the fuel that it needs to perform at its best.
So we could swap out the term green juice fast with bone broth fast or water fast. It's not going to have some of the nutrient benefits obviously associated with green juice fast, but you'll also see those benefits for the immune system support, the metabolic support, even some of the energy production support, because the body starts recognizing a more abundant source of energy being fat. So you would still see some of those pickups, but you're not going to be addressing specific nutrient deficiencies if we were doing a water fast or a bone broth fast. But there is absolute benefit in those areas as well. And the three we use relatively interchangeably in the office with people because of the benefit from a metabolic level or at a immune system level.
Mm-hmm. So when we go through we're going to get into some of the rules that we do with juicing, and then we're going to talk to you about the different versions of the juice fast that we can do, and we'll also go into how to incorporate other levels of fasting into that.
All right, so we're going to get into the specifics when it comes to juicing, and before we get into all of that, we need to go over 3 essential rules that we need to follow when it comes to juicing. First one being always organic over non-organic. And this is something, if you've been to any of our workshops, we have always said animal products organic first, then produce, but because we're not going to be eating animal products for this time period, everything has to shift over into organic. We're going to limit the amount of toxins that are sprayed on the vegetable themselves. And in reality, most of what we should be juicing is going to fall into that dirty dozen category. So they should be organic anyways. But if we're going to be blending it or juicing it, we need to make sure that it's organic.
Well, and from a detoxing standpoint, we're supporting our body's ability to detox during this time of juicing. So we don't want to put more toxins in. We want to let our body be able to detox more efficiently during this time.
Rule number 2, we're going to make sure that we are juicing more vegetables than fruit. And this is something that I know we've struggled with when making juice recipes. My juice recipe is very different from Dr. Aaron's. But
if you're just starting in juicing, you're going to like my recipe better.
You won't like mine, maybe. But we're going to drink it because we need to, and we're responsible adults, and it doesn't matter. We're going to get what we need for our bodies to be healthy.
Mine is as sweet as you can make it without triggering a big glycemic shift.
But even still, when we're talking about fruits that we're juicing, it's not going to be high glycemic. There are advanced plan fruits that we're going to be juicing. We're not going to be juicing like pineapple, and like I don't think you can even juice banana, but it's not going to be that. We're not going to be adding watermelon juice. It's going to be juice or fruit juice for a little bit of sweetness to break up the amount of vegetable that you're going to be drinking. And then lastly, we want to rotate. We want to add diversity to the juices. We don't want to have a kale, celery, cucumber juice every single day for 10 days. We want to add some variety to that. So we're going to be giving our body a ton of different nutrients, and we're going to add variety by the types of vegetables. So when we talk about the base, dark leafy greens would be the base. So that needs to rotate. It should be spinach one day, kale another. If we were going to talk about herbs, we would add cilantro or basil or mint. With vegetables that we're adding in for flavor, we have celery, we have cucumber, we have bell pepper. There's a ton of different things you can add in that add variety, and it shouldn't be this massive 15 ingredient green juice that you're drinking every single day. We want to add variety to break it up so that our body has something new to digest, new to process, and we're making sure that we're not underdoing it or overdoing it in any certain area.
Well, and God put so many different nutrients and minerals in all different foods, so that's why we want to add variety. So we're making sure that we cover all our bases with correcting any deficiencies that our body has.
So the key ingredients would be greens. That's going to make up the bulk of the nutrients that you're going to get. Cucumber is another great add-in for juices. It adds a lot of bulk and liquid to the juice. It also gives you some different enzymes that are specific to supporting the liver, helping the body detect and fight various pathogens and even cancers. Celery is another thing. I remember, was this just about 6 months ago, the celery juice, where people are drinking only celery juice for 5 days, and they're talking about the skin and metabolic benefits. It's just, you're fasting, of course. Mm-hmm. So we just talked about why that's so essential. Now, there are some other benefits to drinking celery juice specifically, but it should by no means be the only thing that you're drinking. Cilantro is huge. There's a ton of phytonutrients that your body gets, and cilantro is one of the key ingredients on a lot of cancer-fighting juices. It's specific to helping the body fight and detect cancer cells. So we use cilantro, and if you don't love the taste of cilantro, I would suggest using maybe not so much of it. It's still something that should definitely be added, but maybe pair it with basil or green pepper or something to help offset the taste so it's not so overwhelming, but it definitely should be added into juices throughout this process. And then ginger. Ginger is a huge way to kickstart the metabolism. There's added benefit from a blood sugar stability standpoint. So ginger goes in every juice. It's a root vegetable that we incorporate, and it's the only root vegetable that we add into these juices during this time period because it gives a different taste, and it has so many other benefits aside from the immune support. It has metabolic, it has blood sugar stabilizing, so there's other benefits, and ginger is a definite.
I think beet juice is something that people do a lot of,
right.
But beets are higher in triggering the glycemic index.
Absolutely.
So the goal of this is to, again, rest the body and not be triggering a lot of those other energy processes so the body can heal. When your insulin is having to get raised a lot, it takes a lot of energy, and then you don't get the metabolic reset benefit of it.
Well, and I know there's specific protocols like the Gershon protocol where you're juicing a ton of carrots, and we're not talking about anything like that in this process or during these different fasts that we'll outline. There's some specifics that would be off to the side in a different realm or different category. So with this one, we're adding key nutrients that are specific with minimizing the inflammatory blood sugar response.
Well, and how we approach things is, I don't ever want to force a reaction on the body. We're just going to support and let the body do what it needs to do. So that's where we really took a lot of time going into, with juicing, with the green juices that we put together. It's supporting the body and letting it take its energy to use it where it's needed, not trying to force a specific reaction.
So if we are talking about the types, we know we have the grocery cart full, we need something that we can use it with. And really, when it comes to types of juicers, there's a huge variety. There's a ton of different price points. You could spend anywhere from $50 to $2,500 if you went up to something like one of the highest end models. And really the biggest difference between types of juicers is the speed that it's juicing the produce with. Higher speed is going to oxidize the produce more. It's going to deplete some of the enzymes and other nutrients with it, and it's not going to last as long. So higher speed juicers, while they may be more cost effective, they're going to have some other cons associated with it. Then when you flip it and you go to the highest end model, we're not going to talk about the $2,500 Norwalk juicer, but if you look at something like a triturating juicer, the Twin Gear juicing, I think the brand would be like a Green Star, or some of the masticating low speed juicers. You have things like Omega, and there's a bunch of different types of low speed juicers I think you can even find on Amazon. But when you get lower speed, it preserves some of the enzymes, it preserves the nutrients, and the juice will last longer. So you may notice that a high-speed juicer, it'll separate and even begin to oxidize, or the green juice itself
starts to turn brown.
Yeah, within end of the day. Even within a few hours, you may notice a color change. Whereas a low-speed juicer, it may take a day or two, especially if it's refrigerated. And then lastly, the super high-end, the hydraulic press juicers that are very, very expensive, the juice will last up to 3 days because there's virtually no heat and there's no high-speed friction that's going to break down or oxidize those enzymes. So it lasts longer, you get more nutrients, and you also will get more juice from the lower-speed juicers. So there's benefits, there's pros and cons. It's definitely something that you need to outweigh what works best for you and your budget for the family. Personally, we have a low-speed juicer. We don't have anything super fancy. We're not spending thousands of dollars on juicers because we don't juice. We're not a juicing company, so we don't have the need for it. But
Omega is the brand.
Yeah, we use Omega. It's a low-speed juicer. You can get it for a few $100s, as compared to the Green Star, which is the Twin Gear or the triturating juicers, which can cost anywhere from $350 used up to $600-700, depending on the model. There is benefit to it, but for the amount of juicing that we do, the low-speed Omega juicer was a perfect buy.
Well, and if you've never done juicing before, don't spend a ton of money on one. Just get started with it. Yep. So you can get the Breville ones at like Bed Bath & Beyond. I think you can get a good one that's going to work for about $100.
Yeah.
So
I think we bought for our family a couple Christmases ago. We bought them juicers, and they weren't priced too bad. You can even get it certain times a year at like Target and Walmart. So there's definitely places you can get it, and then of course Amazon, because
Amazon does everything. So if you start with just a lower price point one, get used to it, and if it's something you and your family are incorporating a pretty consistent amount, that's where we started. Then we decided to invest more into the Omega, and that one's perfect for us because we don't juice all the time, but we do go through periods of time of doing kind of a reset or a detox that we'll use it for.
Now, the one brand that we do need to specify that you cannot use with juicing would be like Blendtec blenders, Vitamix, the Ninjas, because they're not juicers. So the biggest question that we get with regards to juicing is, well, that's cool, I have a blender. And it's not impossible, but it's very, very inconvenient to juice with a blender because you need to add water, you need to add the produce, you have to blend it, and then you have to strain it either with a nut milk bag or like a metal sieve. You have to actually filter out the fiber. Otherwise, you've just made a protein or a salad smoothie or a vegetable smoothie in that you don't have juice. So if we're talking about juicing, there's a lot of key differences, but the most specific part is the fiber that's left. There's benefits to blending, but it's not juicing.
Yeah, so if we're taking out the fiber, we're able to dump in higher levels of nutrients. And there's actually cool stuff that you can do with the fiber after you juice, because there's a lot of, you'll see leftover after you juice. There's ways to like cook it and utilize that. So if you really get into it, there's a website that'll talk about how to utilize all those areas.
I mean, even if you don't want to use it for recipes and cooking, we used to make dog food with it, and then we would compost it. So if it's something that you don't want to take on the process of like adding it into recipes or baking or doing other things with, you can compost, and because it's already broken down, it composts really easy and it gives you, that added benefit. So let's get into some of the challenges, what this is going to look like over a 2-3 week period, because most of the challenges that we do for our office last anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks. So if we were to implement this, you've never done anything like this before, you're completely new to any type of major nutrition changes or overhauls, your diet is primarily processed food, a 3-day juice cleanse or juice fast would be problematic. You may not do very well with it from an energy standpoint. You may feel not so great. You may notice mood swings. There's a lot of, not to say you can't do it, but it makes it a lot harder.
So the way that we want to prepare your body, if you've never done a juice fast before, is by doing some of the core nutrition for a week leading up to it. So we're actually going to post on the Bold City 2020 group a recommendation of the core plan nutrition to follow a week prior to start to stabilize your blood sugar levels before you start to incorporate the juicing. Because that's what Zach was saying, the energy crashes is usually because you have blood sugar imbalances and all of a sudden we're restricting down to lower glycemic index. So people will notice that their energy is down like usually the first day or second day when you start to do it. So we want to prepare our body, and you can also start with incorporating intermittent fasting.
Right.
That's where we go a longer period of time that we're closing our eating window. So what that means is from the first thing that you eat in the morning to the last thing that you eat before bed, we want that to be within an 8-hour eating window. So we want to try to shorten that a little bit.
So starting out, we wouldn't expect you to go 8 hours because that would be a relatively long fast. If you've never done this before, we're going to start at a 12-hour window. So you're done eating by 8 p.m. That means breakfast the next day is 8 a.m. So you have that 12 hours. So the benefit of intermittent fasting, majority of the time is spent sleeping. So you get anywhere from 5 to 10 hours of fasting just by sleeping. So you do get that benefit in the healing process when you're fasting, but we want to make sure that we're stopping as early as we can in the evening and then we're going as late as we can the next day.
And you can shift that eating window. So when I first started incorporating intermittent fasting, I get up early, so I was eating at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then we wouldn't get home to have dinner until like 7 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So that was a 14-hour eating window. Like, of course, my blood sugar was all over the place. So what we do is you eat the same amount, but you're shortening the time frame of doing it. So what I started with is I pushed it back to 7 o'clock. So I waited till 7 o'clock to have the first meal, and then I went to 7 o'clock in the evening. Then after I did that for a couple days, then I pushed it back a little bit further, waited till 9 o'clock to have the first meal, and then just slowly do that, and it's going to help with stabilizing your blood sugar.
So some key things to keep in mind when it comes to intermittent fasting. For men and women, we have different lengths of time that the fasting has been shown to be beneficial. So guys can go up to 16, 18 hours of fasting and still see a hormone benefit. When women go beyond that, there's a little bit more negative associated with the hormones. So anywhere from 12 to 14 hours is ideal. 16 hours would be on the long end when it comes to fasting for women. So we would have a key thing to remember, a really easy way to remember with intermittent fasting is you eat breakfast or dinner, not both. So skip one of those meals at the beginning or the end of the day and then push it. But if you get beyond that 12, 14, 16-hour window for women, we're going to start seeing some negative associated with hormones. And then for guys, when you get beyond that 16, 18-hour window, you start to see those negative associated as well.
Yeah. So we're cleaning up the blood sugar imbalances for a little period of time. And then, we can talk for, if you have questions more specifically for yourself, where you should fall with your intermittent fasting, we can help you on an individual level with that.
So we'll have beginning of the week, or as soon as we release this, and you get into the Bold City 2020 group, you get those resources for our core nutrition. We'll follow that. It's basically a really easy way to explain it is that you're eliminating processed foods, refined grain and refined sugar, and then we're going to clean up the proteins. We're going to take out inflammatory fats, and then we're going to watch the types of fruit and vegetables that we eat. But we're going to get that resource in the Bold City 2020 group. You'll follow core nutrition while intermittent fasting for the rest of the week, and then through the weekend, and then on Monday you would start a 3, 5, or 10-day juice cleanse or bone broth fast. So if you're going to be adding either of those in, you can replace the green juice with bone broth. If, say, you don't want to make the investment with a juicer at this time, you can do the bone broth, and that'd be something that could be interchanged. If you really wanted to push it, and you've done a fast before, we could even go as far as doing a three-day water fast.
Mm-hmm. So we'll kind of give you guys different, wherever your starting point is, where you want to move into with it. But the bone broth fasting, so basically what that is whenever you're hungry, you would drink bone broth as opposed to eating any meals. So you're still fasting. There's a lot of really powerful benefits with bone broth because it has a high amount of collagen, which helps to restore and repair the gut lining. So if anyone's had digestive issues, issues with like reflux, problems with like IBS, if you've had autoimmune issues, those are all stemming from gut problems, skin things going on, incorporating a bone broth fast and just mixing these up a little bit. So we'll have patients do 1 month a 3-day juice fast. The next month they'll do a 3-day bone broth fast, or even starting like wherever you are, do a 1-day juice cleanse or a 1-day bone broth fast. And then once you got through it and you're like, okay, it wasn't too bad, now let me try 2 days. So wherever you're starting from, we just want you to do something and start to move forward. And there really is powerful effects of it. We found that when we juice, I've had people say, oh, I'll wait to do it on the weekend. It's actually better if you're busy, because how many times on the weekend do you just like bored eat? Like, I'm totally guilty of that. So do it on a day that you're busy, because then you're not thinking about it. I'm actually more productive on the days that I'll do fasting because I'm like, go, go, go. And how many times if you're busy, you're like, I totally forgot to eat today. So if you're doing fasting, you're just in it and distracted. So you're not thinking about, I want a snack or I want to, have these things. So definitely do it during the week. It's a lot easier.
Set it early on the calendar so you have this week to prepare for it. Next week, Monday, we'll start the 3, 5, or 10-day. Mark it on the calendar. Monday starts it. Get ready. That way you can let your coworkers know. You can let family that you may be interacting with know. You have everything prepared. You're ready. The other benefit of doing a juice fast right now, there's plenty of greens at the grocery store. You don't have to worry about...
We literally went to the grocery store, and while the processed food aisles in the center of the store are like cleaned out, all the produce and all the healthy foods that we normally buy, there's plenty of it. There are plenty of greens available at the store. So you probably get good prices on it too, because that's the stuff that no one's really grabbing. So think about, you have a really powerful tool to be able to not be in fear of what's going on right now. So if you have someone in your life that is kind of in that state, like, lead them and have them do this with you.
So your must-haves, we need produce, we need a juicer. If you're going to be doing bone broth, you need a good bone broth. The one that we get is Lonolife, Lonolife. You can get beef or chicken. It comes in a little like pre-made packet that you just tear and add to hot water and then just stir it. You can buy it already pre-made. You can make your own. Obviously, making your own is going to be the best, but if you don't have the time or the tools to do that, you can buy it pre-made. And then you need a cleaner for your juicer. You just got to keep it clean. One of the big tips for juicing is that after you juice, you clean it right away and you don't let
That's a mistake if you let it sit.
Yep. Something to store it in. Big tip when it comes to storing your green juice is that you want it in the smallest possible container, because that'll limit the amount of oxygen that can be in there. Ideally, you get the little small mason jars with the canning jars that are 8 ounces. You fill all the way to the brim so there's no oxygen, and then you seal it off, and that'll keep that juice lasting longer. And then something to store it in as well, whether it's a cooler. If you are going to work, you need a cooler bag or a refrigerator. You want to keep it as cool, to keep it as fresh as long as possible. and then on the go stuff. So we use mason jars because we've found mason jars that have rolled under the seats because of our kids, and they're cheap, and you don't feel bad about throwing one in the garbage because it's growing bacteria, fungus culture in there.
So wash stuff out right away. That's a good thing to do. But it's really easy. You can prep all your juice for the day. So you make it all at one point, so you're not having to clean the juicer every time. And so you have all of your mason jars ready to go. Like Zach said, you bring it in a cooler, and then you're just ready to go to have them all pre-made for the day.
So get on Facebook, go to Bold City 2020. It's a private group that you have to be either in or request to get in. We'll approve that after you answer the 3 questions. From there, you'll see the 3 different juicing recipes. We're going to post our juicing demonstration right to that group, so you'll get notified right when we post it. And then you'll also get the core nutrition guidelines, so you know exactly what to do to prep to make sure that blood sugar is stable, and that when it comes to juicing, whether it's a cleanse or bone broth fast, you're ready to go and you have the biggest success that you could possibly have.
So as we finish up and get into this, we want you guys to be always looking at where's the opportunity in life. When there's stuff that we can't control, we need to look at where's the opportunity in this. So there can be good coming out of what's happening. The biggest thing that we have to remember underlying is that our health is always important. So I know when something like this is happening, health is on the forefront of their mind, because what they're saying, the higher death rate with this virus right now is in people that already have underlying health issues. So, they're finding people that already have respiratory issues or smoke, or, have these weaknesses already, that they're higher risk. So health is always something that in a crisis, people will give anything to have their health. And so we want to remember that on an ongoing basis and use this as an opportunity to do things that we need to do to support our body. And if you have friends and family, lead them to not be in a place of fear, but to do the right things to support their body. Make sure that they're eating healthy foods, make sure that they're taking supplements, that they're supporting their body's immune system. Work out together if you're in have to be in a voluntary quarantine or whatever, you're getting sent home for work. So work out together, have fun. And we have, as of now, we're gonna still be having our community dinner next Monday. This is at JW Culinary. So this one is a smaller group setting. So JW Culinary is an awesome restaurant. The chef actually wrote a paleo cookbook. So all the food that he makes is dairy-free, gluten-free.
Low inflammation. So this is gonna follow right in line. So this is actually gonna be perfect. You're gonna get through this week, do your 3-day cleanse, and then we'll be ready to go with actually that'll start it. Monday we'll start the...
Yeah. So the community dinner, we still, I think we have a few spots that are left for that. I think we had about 5 openings still for that community dinner. So if you have a friend or a family member that you want to lead them in tools that they can do for their health, if they've been wanting to make changes and they're in a state right now of kind of being more open to making changes, invite them to that community dinner. So it's at JW Culinary. It's a private restaurant, and honestly, the food is amazing. We had so many people excited. They're like, wait, this is healthy, because the food was so good. So we're excited about that. It's next Monday at 6 o'clock. That is a registration required. So if you do have somebody that you want to bring with to that community dinner, make sure that you get in touch with us, because we're going to be making confirmations for that. And then upcoming, we do have our Summer Shape workshop. That's going to be the end of April. So you'll be seeing more promotion with that, but we're really excited because that's going to be a really, really specific exercise and nutrition plan to be kickstarting the building more muscle tone going into this summer, and really working on making it a lifestyle change, not just a temporary, let's lose weight for this short period of time, or it becoming more than just how you look physically, it becoming a change internally of how we live our lives. And that's with everything that we do. It's a lifestyle change, not a temporary fad that we're going to be going through.
Because wouldn't it be nice to be ready for beach season year round? So that's what this is about. It started with, this workshop started with, people wanting to have that summer weight loss so that when we go to the beach, we look good, we feel confident. But it shouldn't be like that. So we're going to teach you how to stay healthy, stay fit, stay in shape, build health always, from January to January every single year.
And the great part is when you're healthy, you get to be at the perfect weight that God designed for you. So there is benefit to that, but we don't focus on weight loss. We actually focus on being the appropriate weight for our health. That's what we really want to be resetting. So we're excited to get all the resources up in the Bold City 2020 group. We're sad that we didn't get to see all your amazing faces live in front of us, but we love, we're excited to get feedback, love questions. So if you guys want to post in the group, we can answer those as you get started, and we're ready to do this with you. So let's get our immune system strong. We have no fear. Make sure that you're getting in for your adjustments and keeping your immune system going.
One of the benefits of doing this online is that you can share this with family members and friends that weren't able to be here. So whether they're in Oklahoma or Ohio, or they're right here in Jacksonville, share this video with them so they can watch, they can get this information, and they can jump in with the challenge, even join the group so that they can do this along with you. But we love you guys. Thank you for watching, and see you at the office.